The QBD podcast.
The Marketing PowWow.
Worries you sort of lose the identity a little bit of what you're trying to get across. You can run ads just by your thumb because it's on your phone, it's very accessible. I've got no interest in buying your product, so I'm not going to convert, so I'm not going to feed the algorithm that bit of information, that version of the ad to be optimized for that place in the digital world. And then the AI kicks in and it's actually a bit wishy-washy and a bit vague actually. It's refining your audience, it's almost qualifying your leads.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the QBD podcast, The Marketing PowWow. My name is Molly and today we have a very exciting guest in the studio. Rich Brown, our social media specialist, is with us and he'll be giving us insights into how TikTok and Meta are reshaping the future of paid social advertising, from AI to social commerce, the game-changing trends every advertiser needs to know, and why a multi-ad strategy is your key to paid social dominance in 2025. So let's get into it. The Marketing PowWow.
The QBD podcast.
The Marketing PowWow.
Hi Rich, and welcome to the podcast. Glad to have you as a guest today. So paid social has changed dramatically in the last few years, especially. The TikTok boom, it's become a massive game changer in the world of social, both organic and ads. The introduction of Advantage Plus in Meta, the sort of social is taking a big leap forward. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It's great to be on the podcast. I think a lot has changed. I think to start with, just the name. So I still call it Facebook, even though I should be calling it Meta. I still use old money. So yeah, I think that's the first thing that when we speak to people, we have to they realise is that Facebook isn't just Facebook, it's Meta, which means it's Instagram, it's Facebook Messenger, it's a little bit of WhatsApp as well, and that sort of overall sort of empire that Facebook sit on. TikTok, as you said, has been a huge disruptor, particularly around the video side of things, which I know we'll touch on a lot today in terms of how video is really driving the style of ads that you can do nowadays. And yeah, the big things around AI and the benefits, but also the slight issues that can come with people. I think the biggest change I've seen, having done a lot with paid ads, particularly Facebook ads over the last 10 or 15 years, is its accessibility. Like, it's really easy to do nowadays. You can essentially run a whole business off your phone. Nowadays you can go and set yourself up your Facebook account, your Instagram account, your TikTok account. Ads has just become that as well. So you can, I've said it a lot to people, you can run ads just by your thumb because it's on your phone, it's very accessible. The podcast that we recorded recently about Google, about how they've made it really easy for you to access Google ads and just let them do it all through their AI. It's the same thing with Facebook. It's the same thing with the social paid ads, that you can get yourself these pages and they will be prompting you. Everyone that's listening to this or watching this, if you've got Facebook accounts as a business page, you will be getting prompted to run ads. And they'll make it seem really easy. Just click this button, and we'll do the rest. So it makes it very, very accessible. And I think that a lot of those barriers have been broken down. I think a lot of businesses realise now that social ads are there. They can be there for their business. I think the mistakes and things that we can cover today to sort of make people avoid these pitfalls is that just because it is really easy to do doesn't mean you're going to be able to do it very well or very effectively, and you could waste a lot of money very quickly. And also around the AI element, like, it really does, it can help you, but it can also hinder you as well. So yeah, I think it's a really exciting time to be a part of it and be involved with those strategies, but you still need to be a little bit wary of what's ahead of you in those sort of opportunities.
So when it comes to targeting on social media, obviously we know it's become a lot more sophisticated. In our previous podcast on PPC and Google Ads, we were talking about how much sort of scope there is with the targeting. What are you sort of seeing now really compared to a few years ago? Yeah,
the targeting you can on social media is mind-blowing actually sometimes, and what we often find is we'll speak to people and we'll say, like, who's your target audience, and they'll think they're being specific where they say small business owners in the West Midlands, but then you show them the depth and the range of targeting that you can do on these social channels. And they're like, oh, okay. And I'll answer that again.
Yeah.
And they'll say, oh, okay, I didn't know that I could just target people that travel for business, that are interested in bike riding, that are also small business owners in the West Midlands. So I think that's been one of the eye-openers for a lot of people, is just how targeted it can be.
Yeah.
I think the mistake that some people almost like fall into from that point is that just because you can absolutely pinpoint, you can absolutely target your perfect customer through targeting based on their interests, or if you look at platforms like LinkedIn, you can target people through job titles, company size, job roles, all those sorts of things. Just because you can do all that with these social media ads and that sounds brilliant and everybody's up for it, it doesn't mean that those people are almost ready for your ads or want to see your ads. And I think that's been the big difference between what I've seen over the years between social media ads and PPC, is because, as you know, and what we did in our previous podcast around PPC, they're kind of looking for you, or they're looking for it, so they're Googling it. I might absolutely be your target audience because I'm interested in certain things, or I work for a certain company. But you sort of have to realise, and it sounds a bit brutal sometimes to say it, is they've probably never heard of you.
Yeah.
They probably don't know what you do. They might not even know that they need the thing you do. They might not even know that they have an issue and you have the solution for the thing they don't even know that they've got. So there's a lot of work that has to go into it. And I think that's the mistake. Everyone can get quite excited about the targeting on social media, and it is brilliant, but you just have to come at it from the angle of, this is not somebody who's on their computer waiting to see your ad, waiting for your solution. I am at home on a Saturday afternoon, scrolling on my phone whilst watching the telly, and that's where your ad strategy needs to be a little bit different. So you can't just hit me with your sort of salesy call to action closer ad. You need to sort of entice me in a little bit more. You need to educate me around what you do, or the problems or the solutions that you can help me with. And that's where your content sort of comes in so key. So the targeting is it's really, really sophisticated nowadays. I think one of the other big things is, there's not a page one of Facebook like there's a page one of Google. So you don't necessarily have that sort of bidding war. It's not as sort of linear in if I just spend more money than you, I'm probably going to be higher than you. As I said, there's no page one of Facebook. So your ability to reach an audience is really effective. And from a cost point of view, social media ads can be very effective for that brand, for that reach, to improve almost like your discoverability. But the mistake I see people making is then they think, great, and I'll just hit them with the sort of same type of ad that I would hit them with in Google, but they're not in that same position. They're not ready to convert. You need to do a lot more education. I often say, you need to go beyond halfway to meet them, to sort of bring them back into your world. So the targeting is very sophisticated, but the mistake I think that people get is they get a little bit carried away with it, and you either go too narrow too early with your targeting, or you just don't appreciate that those people that you're reaching, you almost haven't earned the right to show them your ad yet. You need to sort of educate them a little bit more. Yeah.
Just touching on your comment about being sort of too narrow with the targeting, do you think with paid social there is a danger of that happening? Because obviously with Google ads, you're sort of targeting a keyword and the customers are searching for that keyword, they're further along in their journey. Whereas with paid social, you're sort of casting the net out to an audience that is your target audience. But if you're too specific and you need your people seeing your ad to fit 7 different bits of criteria, do you think people maybe sometimes fall into the trap of, well, I'm running this ad, but I'm not getting anything, but I've got loads of budget on it, when actually the issue is they're being too targeted because of how sophisticated it's become? Yeah,
it's a good point. I think so, because, like I said, people can get a bit carried away and almost excited with the targeting. And also, what I found is really good with some of the social media ads, and almost like the data you get back from it, is you might discover an audience you didn't really know you had. So obviously with something like PPC, you're sort of targeting what those people are searching for. You don't necessarily know sometimes who they are. They're just searching for that thing. And with the social media ads, there might be a common denominator between all your sort of individual audiences that you target that you don't sort of see and you can't see. And it's where there's almost like a game that you play with the targeting within the social media platforms, where you sort of want to point them in the right direction and sort of run the ad and give them that parameter to work within. But you don't want to go too narrow too early, like you said, because you might actually be missing a load of people, or there might be an audience out there that you just haven't ever considered or reached yet. So you can give the algorithm within the ads that scope to go and find its audience. You want to keep it on a relatively tight leash, because otherwise it can run away with you if these people don't quite convert. But that's the balance, really. And something that we found with it is the more information that the algorithm can gather on your audience, the longer you can run the ad, the better. And sometimes I feel that people will come to particularly something like Facebook ads or Instagram ads, which are, in comparison to other sort of digital marketing options, relatively cost effective. You can run ads relatively cost effectively on Facebook and Instagram. It can be almost a little bit of a last resort. So I've tried everything else, and I'm going to chuck a couple $100 between this Facebook ad because it has got to work like right now. And yes, ads can get you a quicker response or a quicker sort of turnaround in leads as opposed to some other forms of digital marketing. The longer you can almost like work with the platform, let the algorithm understand who you are, who you're targeting, but also who's responding to your ads. And if you can give the algorithm that time, it can refine who it targets. And one of the big things actually that I've seen a lot, and I see a lot of other sort of Facebook digital agent marketing people sort of focus on these things, and I actually disagree with them on this point, is that people that have run ads on the social media platforms before, you'd have seen one of the first things you do is called the ad objective, which is where you tell the platform, this is what I want people to do from my ad. And it will be something like, I want to generate clicks to my website, or I want to get video views, or I want to get messages, I want to get leads, I want to get conversions, I want to get sales. And the sort of usual thing that I see out there that a lot of people say is, well, you want the conversions. You want the conversions. So you should do the conversion thing. And I don't actually agree with that a lot of the time. Yes, you want to run an ad that gets conversions. I get it. But the problem with that is if you tell the algorithm right from the start, I want this ad to generate me leads, it will try and do that. But it needs to figure out who's going to see those ads. And it needs to get that sort of feedback to refine who's it's targeting. So the better route to go down is you need to sort of build your audiences first. And we'll come on to it later, I'm sure, around video and the different types of ads. But your better way to go to start with is to try and start building an audience. And I think the mistake sometimes is, someone could run an ad, and even with the sophisticated elements of the targeting, you can hit 25,000, 50,000, 100,000, 500,000 people. So it can be relatively targeted compared to what you normally do. If you say to Facebook, I want this ad to be a conversion ad, if you run that for a week and you don't actually get a conversion within that time period, the algorithm starts to get a little bit confused over who it's going to send that ad to. Because if you've got an audience size of about say we had 250,000 people that we targeted based on age, location, gender, interests, those sorts of things, you're not all 250,000 people are going to see your ad. So if we had a £500 budget, it might be about 50,000 people are going to see that ad. The algorithm then has to decide who to show that ad to within the audience that you're giving it. And that's what I say about, you can give the algorithm a little bit of rope. So you can give them a parameter and just say, this is my target audience, but within these people, go and find the right ones. If Facebook or Instagram aren't getting that feedback then from that audience, that they're not getting the conversions, it sort of loses its way, and it doesn't really know who to send the ad to, and you don't really optimize the performance. And probably the better thing to do is to run an ad initially just to get that engagement. So I'd run an ad for people to watch the video. So we target 250,000 people, only 50,000 people see the ad. Not all 50,000 are going to watch the video, but 10,000 of them will, and actually 8,000 of them will watch half of the video, and it's those people we're interested in. And that's where the retargeting thing comes in. So I think people can be quite too narrow, like you said, but also if they don't set the right criteria within the ad, you're sort of missing a bit of a trick, really, because you want to get the algorithm on your side and to help you find these audiences, but you sort of need to give it the right instructions, because otherwise it's just going to get a bit confused, because you've run an ad, you spent 200 or 300 quid, you've told Facebook you want to generate leads, which is true, you do, but what's the likelihood of you actually getting leads from that first ad? Maybe you need to build up an audience and to find people who are interested in your product, because like we said, to start with, you're just going to hit me with an ad, I've never heard of you before, I've got no interest in buying your product, so I'm not going to convert, so I'm not going to feed the algorithm that bit of information, but I might watch your video, I might read your blog, I might visit your website because I'm curious about the information that you're going to share to me. And actually, it's those follow-up ads that can be that conversion. And I think, if you're too narrow too early, you're sort of missing out on the algorithm actually helping you. And I often say to people, at the end of the day, Mark Zuckerberg wants these ads to do well for you, because if the ad does well, you're just going to run more of them, or you're going to spend more money on them. So it's actually in Facebook's interest for the ad to perform well, but you've actually got to help it along its way, because it can't do it all for you.
Yeah, it reminds me of a client we had this time last year where we said this exact thing to them, and actually it wasn't, we were running ads for maybe a couple of months to build up that audience, and then we could go in with the follow-up ads, and that really made a difference. Yeah,
it does. And when you start to sort of get that element, and as you know, I like a lot of analogies, and I use a lot of analogies with things, and I liken it to, initially you're fishing in a massive lake, and you just got to refine everything, you've got to sort everything out, but getting the algorithm on your side and using that audience building element of, don't be afraid to sort of give it a relatively wide parameter to start with your targeting, but then sort of narrow it down. Is you go from fishing in a huge lake into a little pond, because you're moving people around, and then that's the time to actually hit them with the conversion ad, because then I've only got an audience of 5, 8, maybe 10,000 people, but I can put a couple of £100 behind an ad, say to Facebook, now within that audience of 8,000 people, I only want the ones that are going to buy off my website. It will find them for you, and it's just getting the algorithm on your side to help you with your ads.
I guess it's getting people to understand the importance of the brand awareness to start with, rather than going in with the hard sell.
Yes.
In terms of sort of ad creation and things like that, how has AI sort of changed over the years, and how is it, I know you said at the start, helping and maybe hindering people who are managing it themselves?
I mean, the AI thing, as you all know as well, is fun. It's really fun. I see AI as really helped and slightly hindered at the moment. The couple of factors really. So AI can help with the targeting. So those of you listening that have run ads in the last sort of 6 months to a year, you'd have seen the Audience Plus thing, which is where essentially Meta are saying, don't worry about it. Don't worry about who you think your target audience is. We'll figure it out. And we'll just do it. And that can work. But like you mentioned with the clients that we've helped, what we found is that even then, their algorithm, the AI, is going to need a little bit of guidance. So if it's a bit vague, if you just say, well, I'm kind of interested in people who are of a certain age, live in a certain area, and are interested in a certain thing, that sounds quite targeted, but actually it's not. And what's better is if you can feed the AI with data in terms of the remarketing or retargeting. So if you can say to the AI, these are the people that have previously visited my website, these are the people that have watched my videos, these are the people that engage with my social media organically, so my Instagram posts and my Facebook posts, feed that information into the AI, and then say, okay, now do your Audience Plus. Now find those common denominators that I can't find. I think that's what AI is brilliant for, is almost doing that research. Go and find more people like these people. In the good old days, it used to be called lookalike audiences, and we slightly moved away from that nowadays because it's Audience Plus. But the more information you can give on who your sort of target audience is, in terms of the information that Facebook or Meta can plug into, the more effective that AI is going to be. And we found that, as you mentioned, we've run ads for people where actually for the first 2, 3, 4 months, it was around audience building. So we even said to them, didn't we, don't sort of judge us on the sales. It sounds a bit stupid, but we're not quite there yet. Just trust us. We know what we're doing. Let's build audiences up. Let's put content out there that your ideal customers are going to enjoy. They will engage with that content. The algorithms will see that. Facebook will see that. We can then feed that into the AI and the Audience Plus and say, well, there you go. Now you can see who likes our content. Now let's go and run the sales ad. And that's when it really works. And I think, again, one of the things I see a lot is that people do sort of lose patience very quickly with the ads because they come to it sometimes quite late and it's like, it's got to work, and they run it for a month, it doesn't quite work. And yeah, I think even with that client, if they'd have sort of judged the results after 3 months, you're like, well, there's not much going on here, like we could do more sales. But actually in month 5 months, things it really caught up. So if you assess the campaign over 6 months, the ROI was brilliant. After 3 months, it didn't look so hot, but because we were putting that work in. So that's where AI, I think, can assist the ads, but you've got to feed it that information. In terms of ad creation, that is where I think it gets a little bit stickier, because when you're creating the ads, it'll almost pop up on the screen and be like, we can do this, we can do this. Oh, that's what you've said? Well, we think we can write it better, and they'll sort of reword it. You can do that, but you've really got to keep an eye on it, because it is going to be relatively generic. And if you do, if your products or services are very specific, or you're writing to a very specific audience, you just got to be really careful that what they're doing. It is quite nice because it will give you options for different headlines or different text descriptions. And I find it quite useful just to read those, because you might think, actually, I don't think that's very good. But if I do this, then that's actually better than what I did before. So you can use it as a bit of a thing to play around with. I would hold back on that element of like delegating the ad build and writing the ad copy to AI, because I don't think at the moment it's good enough to capture who actually you are. And something that we touched on actually in our last podcast was it can get a bit generalized. So you think you're talking about one thing, and then the AI kicks in and it's actually a bit wishy-washy and a bit vague actually. The other thing that's caused us a bit of fun and games over the time is a lot of the time now you almost have to opt out of the AI kicking in. So if you're not careful and if you haven't unticked certain boxes when you're creating your content, the AI will just change your ad. And we've seen it, haven't we, where clients will come in and are like, why does my ad look like this? And we're like, yeah, it's because the AI had decided that we're going to do, we're going to try different things. So you can sort of hand over the keys to AI and let run with it. I said, I don't feel the ad creation, the wording, and then almost the AI choosing which image it's going to show or what order it's going to show the carousel images.
Takes the control away from you, which isn't always a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't quite think it's not quite there yet. From what I've seen from 6-9 months ago, it really wasn't there. It is getting better. I suppose like all of AI, it is getting better. But for now, I would still want to have that control over, well, the content that we've written is targeted at our audience. The images that we're uploading, or the order of the carousel image, or the video that we're using is targeted at our audience, and we sort of trust that. Or we're going to do our own thing and have full control over that. Because, if you hand over the reins to the AI, my worry is you sort of lose the identity a little bit of what you're trying to get across. And like with any ad campaign, you could be £500-600 deep and you realise actually you weren't really talking to the people in the right way. So AI is great. I think it's coming on really well in terms of supporting you with audience targeting. With the creation side of the ads, I would still see what it's got to say for itself, but I would still keep the control over it.
Yeah. And on the ad creation, I know you mentioned sort of images, carousels and videos. Would you say there's any specific one that's sort of the best, or do you think it's still a mixed bag? Obviously, with the rise of TikTok and Instagram Reels, video is a big player. Do you think people who are maybe starting out with social ads now, would you say, ditch images completely and just go with video? Or do you think it's important to recognise, obviously, if you're going to go with video, it needs to be a good video? Same with images, really.
It's a fun one. I think as it's called, is the sort of ad placement, so where your ads can appear. crikey, it's quite fun at the moment, because you have to have quite a lot of different versions of the ad nowadays. So gone are the days where you could just have one square video and off you go. Nowadays, if you really want that ad to reach as many people as you can, if you really want to get the exposure, if you want to get loads and loads of people seeing that ad, so you can do the retargeting, so you can get that brand awareness, you do need the square video, but you also need to give the platform the sort of TikTok reel style video, and then the slightly different shape thing. So the ad that you create, it be it an image or a video, probably needs to be in 2, 3, maybe even 4 different formats, and by that I mean shape and size, to really optimize it, to have, if you want it to go everywhere. Now, you can restrict where it goes. You might say, well, actually, I don't want it to be shown in Instagram Reels. So you can turn that off. Right. You're cutting your audience off a little bit, because that can get you so much exposure. But then if it's going to be shown in Instagram Reels, you don't really want it to be a sort of square image that doesn't fill the screen, that looks a bit odd, it's not cropped properly, and the text is a bit odd. You want that version of the ad to be optimized for that place in the digital world. But then that doesn't quite work in an Instagram feed or a Facebook feed or Facebook Messenger feed. So you have to have the creative thing and sort of move it around. So that's the sort of first challenge that people are having. But, it's fun. There's some great tools out there nowadays to try and create some of that content. In terms of what the best type of content is, I might be a bit old school, but I cannot get away from a good old image, just a good old fashioned image. But I think what we found is that actually the click-through rate of an image ad is better than a video.
Oh, wow.
However, video is great, and it's this thing, like we sort of said right from the start, of having almost like a multi-ad approach. So if it was me, if I was running an ad campaign, I would want a video. Videos are brilliant. Videos are great for getting you that reach and initial exposure and initial interest, and it can go across the multi-platforms. So you can run it on Instagram Reels and all those different platforms, and it's really great for getting that. And what the video can do is it can gather what we often refer to as a declaration of interest. So if we go right back to the start, you're targeting me, I'm your perfect client, I've just never heard of you before. And in my feeds, I just see a video of yours, which isn't a salesy video. It's just a quick how-to or a quick guide, or did you know? It's sort of maybe a bit of fun content, educational content, entertaining content. It can be just be that little bit of a video thing. I can just watch that video, and even if I watch 20% of it, 50% of it, 75% of it, if you've got your follow-up tracking and retargeting in place, you can get tagged or sort of noted by the algorithms that you're interested in that stuff. And we often refer to that as a declaration of interest. So you don't know who I am yet, you've got no information on me, but you can see from the ad you run that 1,000 people watch more than 50% of the video. And I'd often say, well, why would I have watched 50% of your video if I wasn't a bit interested in the thing that you do? And then that's when the sort of retargeting, the follow-up ad can kick in. So I think videos are brilliant for gathering that initial attention, that initial exposure, brand awareness, as I said, that declaration of interest. What videos aren't so hot on actually is getting the click. And I think, well, one of the things that we found, and a lot of people have realised, is you really can only expect someone to do one thing with one ad. And a lot of the time, the watching the video is the thing I'm going to do. It sounds a bit silly and incredibly lazy, but watching a video and clicking a link? No, thanks. Far too much. No, I can't do that. So just watch the video. And that's where, if you've got 2 or 3 things you want to say, if you've got 2 or 3 things you want to sort of educate your audience on or push, that's 2 or 3 ads. Don't try and cram it all into one go. So I would do that video ad, and it sort of gets that interest. Once you've got that few thousand people that have given that declaration of interest, they're interested in what you do. That's when that follow-up ad comes in. That's when the ad that is about converting sales and leads. And the stats still show that an image ad is better, because an image ad will have a higher click-through rate than a video ad. Now, obviously, again, it needs to be optimized for the various platforms, and it needs to look nice, and needs to be well designed, but actually that can work very well. Also, yeah, the carousel thing at that point can work, because if you've got a number of different options, with the ads that we run for clients, particularly products, the whole carousel thing works really well. And I think one of the big shifts in ads that came a couple of years ago now, but has sort of almost been slightly forgotten because of the rise of AI, is that dynamic ad structure, where if you have got a shop, if you are like Shopify, or you've got products on your website, if you feed it into the Facebook ad platform correctly, the Facebook ads will just show all your products in the carousel, and will show it in an order that they think is the most interested to what I'm looking for. And that again is where you can hand over those reins a bit, but you've had a control over that data. So I think carousel ads are good if you've got lots of different products you want to push. You know, they are good because people are inquisitive. They will scroll across your carousel ad, and that is also a declaration of interest. So the fact I've just sort of swiped across a few images, again, why would I have done that if I wasn't interested in what you've got to say or what you're doing? So yeah, I love the video ads. I think that is definitely the way to go nowadays to harness that initial engagement. But yeah, I'm a bit old school. Give me a good old image ad, get the click-through rate up, and that is when you start the call to action. Driving people to your website to purchase or sign up or download something, or connecting with people so they can send you a Facebook or WhatsApp message. Yeah, give me a good old good old image ad any day.
So it's all about that multi-ad strategy that we touched on at the very start. And maybe touching a nerve here, but what are your opinions on the boost feature for posts?
I'll try not to swear. The boost feature, again, I think that taps into how accessible everything is. So yeah, like you can just literally tap your thumb 3 times and you can boost it. And it seems good and easy. I've come down a little bit off my soapbox about it over the years, I think. What I would say is, if you find yourself boosting regularly, I would stop and go and get yourself a proper ad campaign, because everything we've just talked about in terms of running your video ad, targeting people, running an ad that's a follow-up ad that is only to people that have had that declaration of interest. The boost doesn't give you that. The boost just makes a load of more people see it, and you don't quite have the control and the targeting options at your disposal that you do if you run a proper ad. So yeah, occasionally if you've got an event coming up, or it's just a one-off thing and 20 quid's burning a hole in your pocket, fine. Ultimately the boost is only feed a bit of a vanity project, because it will just get you a load of more people seeing the post. They won't necessarily be the real targeting. It will give you those options of age, gender, location, and you think you're being targeted. Sorry, you think you're targeting people. But yeah, once we show people the tools that are at your disposal, when you get into proper ad territory, you start to realise how basic a boost is. So yeah, I've calmed down a little bit over years about it. Boost occasionally, if you want to just give Mark Zuckerberg 20 quid, fine. But if you find yourself doing it regularly and you think, actually, if I look back at it, I'm spending 150, 200 pounds plus a month, that's an ad campaign, and you can actually get better results off that.
So you've spoken a lot about video just then when we're talking about the different types of ads we can do. Obviously, we know that the attention span of people is shrinking day by day. And obviously you want to catch people's attention within the sort of first 2-3 seconds of a video. With that in mind, do you think there's an optimum length of a video after that first 3 seconds? Do you think it still needs to be sort of 20 seconds or less? Does it need to be longer form video? I guess it sort of depends on who you're targeting and what the ad is about, really.
Yeah, it is. And I think in an ideal world, you have a bit of all of them, actually. It comes back to what we talked about, the sort of placement of the ad. So those 15-second type videos are great for that initial exposure, because they will run very well and perform very well in the reels, and they'll almost be like the thing someone has to sit through before they watch the video they want to watch on social media. So it is that they are like literally an ad. So if you get a nice little short video going, in terms of the reach you would get on that, and then like almost like the cost per impression, the amount of people that will see that ad will be incredible. Actually, you'll get a lot of exposure. However, what you're missing then is the ability to sort of follow up on the targeting. And like I mentioned, it doesn't really feed you that declaration of interest that you might necessarily be looking for. So we could create a video and it's 15 seconds long and I could target people that have watched more than 50% of it, but that's only 7 seconds. And is that really a declaration of interest? Is that really a sign that someone's interested in the product? Now, yes, do that as like an initial, almost like a trailer ad, get your brand out there. But really what you'd like to do as well is have another video running targeting similar people, which is more in that sort of 45, 60 second, maybe even be a bit cheeky and push it up to 90 seconds. Because if we can target people that watch 50% of that, so I've sat through 45 seconds, 60 seconds of a video of you telling me about something, that's a huge declaration of interest. Actually, more people, and I suppose it's filtering down, it's refining your audience, it's almost qualifying your leads, because you'll get thousands of people that will watch 7 seconds, 50% of a short video. You won't get anywhere near as that number that watch 50% of a minute and a half video. But I watch 30 seconds, I watch 45 seconds of a video. I am more likely, I am more interested in what you're going to do. Yeah, I'm more interested in what we're doing than that shorter one. So in that ideal world, you can do both. But I think, yeah, you're right. Everyone gets sort of sucked into the attention spans are low. We've got to hit them quick, and you do have to hit them quick. Like you do have to front load you a little bit with some of that content, but don't lose sight of the value of that slightly longer video that can help you with that wider strategy. And again, I think that's the thing that people might miss if they fall into that trap of boosted posts or just doing 1 or 2 ads. You'll chuck one sort of 15-second video out and it'll be too pushy. It'll be too salesy. It's too much. The call to action is too early. Like I said, you haven't earned the right to ask me yet to buy your product or service. You've only hit me with a 15-second video. I've got no idea who you are. And I wasn't even thinking about the thing that your service or product can help me with. So again, it's about building a community, building an audience. And I think that slightly longer form video, minute long-ish, can be really effective. And if you commit to that ad strategy and, think about an ad campaign that's going to run for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, when you get to that point and you've run those slightly longer videos of a minute or two, think of the audience building you're going to have. You're going to have like 10, 15,000 people that have watched a percentage of these videos. They are primed, almost qualified people that you can then go and engage with. So short video, great for that reach and engagement, and you should do it. But really, you want to try and build those audiences, and the long form video can give you that as well.
Yeah, that was part 1 of my conversation with Rich about all things paid social. Be sure to check out part 2, which is coming soon. Don't forget, you can send in your digital marketing questions to us and we'll answer them on the show. You can contact us on powwow@qbd.co.uk or simply send us a message through any of our social channels. All the links are in the show notes, and don't forget to like, subscribe and share the podcast so others can enjoy our content on digital marketing. I look forward to joining you again on the QBD podcast, the Marketing PowWow.
The QBD podcast.
Marketing PowWow.